Welcome to Hoogar Social Academy. We are going to learn the impact of the British rule in India. Chapter number 3, History from class 10 standard. In our previous sessions, we learned about civil service, judicial system, military system, land tax system, impact of the land tax system, education system, impact of the education system. These all things we have learned. Let us begin and learn more about from this chapter. And it's about the constitutional development. It's about constitutional development. Here in this, as we are going to learn from 1773 to 1935. 1773 to 1935 acts. These all acts were being brought up by whom? By the British East India Company. These acts which are being brought up here, these acts are being only and only for whom? For the Indians. Only and only for the Indians. Okay. The word as it is been said, that heading constitutional development. Why this constitutional development? It's because it become the later period when we had our own constitution called as the Indian Constitution, which we have enacted and adopted from the period of 1950 onwards. But this constitutional develop these acts which were been brought up, somewhat it helped the Indians to frame up the our own constitution called as the Indian Constitution. Okay, so let us know and get to understand about which were the different acts which were been introduced and what are the provisions were been kept in those acts. It's a 1773 act. It is called as the Regulating Act. What it is called? It is called as a Regulating Act it is. Okay. 1773. In the civil service topic, we have said that the board of directors who were there, right, where too much of corruptions was been found. To stop up that corruption, 1773 Act was introduced. It was not only to stop the corruption of the board of directors, it was to bring up more changes in that act which is going to impact on the whom? On the Indians. Okay, so there were three presidential area was been there: Bengal, Madras and Bombay. Bengal, Madras as well as the Bombay. Three presidential areas were been there. And everywhere in all these three there were the governors. There were what? Governors. Bengal governor, Madras governor, Bombay governor. Okay. Now according to this act, the Bengal governor is the governor of whom? Of the Madras as well as Bombay. Bengal governor was given the authority of Madras as well as of which one? Of the Bombay. So now the governor of Bengal is also the governor of whom? Governor of Madras as well as what? As well as the Bombay. This is the reason this governor of Bengal, these two places when it was handed over to him, these two places soon as he got Bengal governor, now he is called as a Governor General. Called as a Governor General, right? Bengal, Madras, Bombay, three different governors. Now the Bengal governor was being given the authority of the Madras as well as of the Bombay. So as soon as this authority goes under his hand, now he becomes the boss of Madras, Bombay as well as the Bengal. So now he is called as a what? Governor General of which one? Governor General of the Bengal. So all the powers as Governor General was enjoying here, all the powers of Madras and Bombay also fell under the hands of whom? In the hands of the Governor General powers. Okay. Now Governor General, there is only one Governor General who is having the authority on Bengal, Madras as well as the Bombay. All authority went under his hand. So taking of any of the decisions, it is under the hands of whom? Under the hands of the Governor General. Madras and Bombay, if they want to do any sort of agreement with their neighboring states, or if they decided to have a war on the neighboring states, they can't do. They have to take the permission of whom? Permission of this Governor General. Permission of Governor. Without the permission of the Governor General, they can't take any sort of their actions. So whole Madras and Bombay totally fell under the hands of the Governor General, and Bengal become the central administrative center. What it become? It become the central administrative center, which was Bengal. Okay, in the same period, in the same, what we have seen, that Supreme Court was also established. What was established? Supreme Court was also established. So this shows what it is, that the Regulating Act brought up lot of changes in the country called as India. Lot of changes in the country called as India, right? It's because it became the central place. Madras and Bombay also went under the hands of the Governor General, and all the decisions will be taken by the Governor General. And in that same period, Supreme Court, which was established at the place called as Calcutta. This kept, as we say, new stone to the enlarging their laws in the country called as India, or those all areas which has now become the British colonies. In this way, 1773 Act was been brought up. Our next act, it is about the Pitt's India Act. It's about which one? About the Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act, which came in the period of 1784. Okay, what it is? It's a Pitt's Act India. The act itself, 1773 Regulating Act itself, says that to have some sort of necessary changes if it is being needed. Regulating. Okay. Keeping this in the mind, Pitt's India Act was introduced in the year 1784. Here who is there? Here there is a board. This board is called as a Board of Directors. We are studying since from long time. Board of Directors. These Board of Directors, they belongs to which one? Which company? They belongs to East India Company. Board of Directors. Okay. Now, here in the 1784 Pitt's India Act, Board of Director was converted into Board, replaced by Board of Controllers. There is no big difference. There is no big difference. Board of Director or Board of Controllers, all they belongs to the British itself. There is no big difference. But now Board of Directors are been replaced by whom? By the Board of Controllers. But this act didn't give any sort of benefit to the Indians, as it's because according to this act, according to the Pitt's Act, Indians have reached to their paramount. According to the Pitt's India Act, they say Indians have reached to their paramount not because of them, because of the British. So, according to this sentence, this shows what it is, that British believe that whatever today India is there, it's not because of the Indians, it's because of them. And they feel themselves that they are the one who have properly brought up the administration. But we know very well that if we look over our history, we get to understand that it was not like that. Indians suffered a lot in the hands of the home, in the hands of the British. So, British says what it is here, or in the Pitt's India Act, he refers that Indians have received to their paramount not by themselves, but by the home, by the British. Keeping this in the mind, British government or East India Company didn't allow any of the higher authority or higher post to be the part of the country called as India. So no one is allowed to sit on the high post. Which act it says? This has been said by 1784 Pitt's India Act it is. So Board of Director is been replaced by whom? By the Board of Controllers. Okay. In the same way, after 1784, one more new act came into the power. Okay. These acts were being referred as a Charter Acts. They were being referred as a Charter Acts. These Charter Acts they were being renewed every after 20 years. Every after how many? 20 years they are being renewed. Now this renewal is renewal to whom? This is not renewal to the country called as in England. This is a renewal of the East India Company. As we very well know, we have studied, we have understood in our first chapter of the history, advent of Europeans to the India, where East India Company comes to this country called as India from taking the permission of the Queen for only and only for the 15 years. And we are talking in the 18th century. We are talking at the period of 18th century. Our first charter act, which begins from 1833, 1813, 1853, in this way 20 years. But in the year 1858, in the year 1857, with the first war of independence which took place, have stopped this 20 years of license, and once again East India Company, they moved with the different forms of acts. So we are seeing from the which one, from the 1793, 1813, 1833, 1853, in this way every 20 years the license was been renewed of the company called as a East India Company. So these acts are referred as a what? Charter. Are referred as a charter acts are been. Let us go one by one our charter acts. Charter act it is. Okay. Now the first charter act. The first charter act, it is of 1813. The first charter act, what it is? It's of 1813 it is. Okay. This act gives the license. What it gives? The license to whom? To the East India Company to stay next for how many years? Next for 20 years. Next for how many years? 20 years East India Company got a license. Okay. Not only license, even we see that permit. If license is given in the form of permit, now it's the same as difference if little bit to understand. See, there is a driving license. Okay, driving license means you are having the authority to drive the bike or drive the car. It's a authority. But for how many years you are being allowed? Then answer comes, if you are having the bike, then it is of 20 years. So this shows what? Driving is what? It's a license. But driving up to 20 years is nothing but it's a permit. What is it? It's a permit. Driving is a license given. But driving up to 20 years, it's nothing but we call it as a permit. So on the basis of that, what is been done, what we have seen that the license and permit system came in the country called as India. Okay, and those board of directors which have studied, okay, they were having all sort of authority in their hand. All sort of authority they were having in their hand. This gave them the opportunity. This board of director got the opportunity to choose Governor General of India. To choose Governor General of India or Governor General we can say. And one more new post called as Commander-in-Chief. Commander-in-Chief, who will be the head of the head of the military. So two posts. One, board of directors, they got a power to choose the Governor General. They can elect the Governor General. And one more power, what they got? Commander-in-Chief. That power got. Who got this? Board of director got this power. Okay. In the meantime, the churches, who were been the churches. We very well that we studied in our education system. In that education system, Christian missionaries were being allowed to open the school, colleges as well as the universities. Okay, Christian missionaries were not even allowed to open the school, colleges, universities, but even they were being made to understand the language called as English. Simultaneously with that, even they were being allowed to propagate their religion called as Christianity. So during this time, in the year 1813, Christian missionaries also came and they started doing the work of spreading of education in the country called as India. Okay, these all things happened in the 1813 Act. Charter Act 1833. This act aimed of improving the political situation of the country called as India, and it gave once again opportunity to whom, to the British East India Company to be live in this India for the next 20 years. 1813, 1773, 1784, where we understood that the governor was being made as a governor general. In this act, this governor general will be added with one more word called as Governor General of India, who is having the power of Bombay, Madras, who is having the power of Bombay, Madras and Bengal. Okay, who already he was there, but now he will be called as a Governor General of India, and he is being given all sort of authority. He is having the power to excise, to direct, to instruct, to take the decisions regarding development of the diplomatic relationship. It may be there, or it may be related to any agreements, it may be there, or it may be related to giving the orders of the war on the other native rulers, right? So Governor General of India is having the power to exercise his power throughout the all those presidential areas. Moreover, this Governor General can put up his difference, can put up, it's because he is the boss. He is having his executive council, he is having his executive council, okay, right? He is having his own executive council is there. There are board of directors are there, okay. Now the opinions of executive council or board of directors, right, he may consider, or he may, what he can do, if any sort of differences arises, he can come in between, and he can put up his own views regarding taking of the decisions, okay. Moreover, one was executive council was there, board of director was already there. Now to this governor general body, one more new person is been added, legislative. What it is? Legislative now, right? Legislative, law professional, who is one good in the way in making framing of the law professional, was been added to the executive council of whom, of the Governor General of India. This gave more opportunity, and moreover during this time itself, in the year 1833, it gave the opportunity to not only East India Company to do the trade, but even with East India Company, all traders, all traders from the different companies can also do the trade in the country called as which one? India. Can do the trade in the country called as India. They can do this. So in this way, 1833 Act was been what? It came with its different forms of provisions. In the very next, as Charter Act 1833, now next 20 years got the opportunity to be in the way in the country called as India. But what we see that in the year 1857, in the year 1857, the first war of Indian independence takes place. First war of Indian independence takes place, okay, which disturbs the whole East India Company throughout the India. This is the reason in the year 1858, in the year 1858, East India Company Authority goes under the hands of Queen of England. Queen of England, whose East India Company Authority went under the hands of Queen of England in the year 1858. It's because widespread of violence we have seen, as Indians, they revolted against whom? Against the British for their supremacy, and that supremacy was very autocratic supremacy. It was where Indians were not at all having any rights. The sepoys, Indian sepoys who fought against the East India Company, but it was The betrayal which was being done by the whom by our own Indians caused what it is that we were unable to continue our first war of Indian independence by our own Indians itself. And British once again sat on the way on the country called as India, and he ruled next 90 years up to 1947. Queen of England. Now this Queen of England called as Victoria. Who is this? Victoria comes with some sort of decisions, and she proclaims, she announces, which was being handed in the hands of Lord Canning. Okay, Lord Canning, who is being referred as a first Viceroy of India. This is a now new word, Viceroy. Viceroy, what it means? Viceroy, it means one who represent the Queen here in India. Viceroy. The same Viceroy was earlier called as, if we go with from the 1773, Governor, then Governor General, then Governor General of India, and now he is known as a Viceroy. Okay, this person who is having the authority of Bombay, Madras as well as the Bengal. So Queen Victoria proclaims, the Viceroy called as a Lord Canning, the first Viceroy of India, announces at the place called as Allahabad about what Queen has been said. The first thing was done by the Queen was authority of the East India Company was being taken. Now India or the territories, the British colony, is totally under the hands of whom? Under the hands of the Queen it has been there. Okay, and the post of Governor General is been now called as a Viceroy. Another side, one more new post came called as a Secretary. Secretary for State for India. Okay, new Secretary of State for which one? Of State for whom? For India. The new post which is going to assist to the whom? To the Viceroy. Which is going to assist to the Viceroy. Now three new posts. Viceroy, who is called as a Governor General of India. Commander in Chief, the board of directors who are having the power to choose the commander in chief. Okay, right? In the same way, now new post Secretary of State for India was being made. Now this Secretary of State for India will assist to the Governor General, as well as they will give the report to the Queen. And moreover, during this time, a Council of India, what was also made? A Council of India was also made. To what to do? To make the Indians to participate in the administration. But dear, we all very well know that these all authorities were being given. Indians were included, but Indians were not given any sort of power to look after their own country called as India. So these all things we have studied we get to know in the 1858 Act. Which Act? 1858 Act, which is called as a Indian Government Act. What it is called? It is called as a Indian Government Act of 1858.